Mr Speaker, the journeys of the more than 1,600 servants who have sat in this place are varied. Here, I purposely do not use the term member. We are elected to serve, and through our service, we hope to inspire our communities to trust us to lead. What remains unremarkable of almost all the past and present members of this place is their deep-seated desire to leave their worlds better than how they found them. More than this, as servants of this state and our communities, we have a unique opportunity to improve the lives of those whose orbit we enter and to enter our own. I'm ever mindful that each of us is a speck in eternity, and over our journeys, memories of our deeds and words will fade, but what will never be forgotten is how we made someone feel, hopefully for the better. Mr Speaker, as members of this place, we meet the gamut of individuals. Across my lifetime, and having served in elected office since 2017, I have learned that there are some truly horrible people out there. Utterly horrendous. Fortunately, my experience to date has been that those people are the exception. I believe most people are good and decent. While the truly horrible are uncommon, the truly wonderful often come to us in their time of need. They feel maligned, unfairly treated, or without a voice, and often we are their last resort. In that moment, we are all privileged with the power to give that person a voice. And when we do, they will rarely forget how we made them feel heard. We were on their side, sometimes when no one else was. Though very few members of this place will ever serve in the highest offices, each of us still has a heavy responsibility to leave a positive mark on the life of anyone who comes to us in their time of need, to make their life better, whether clearing their minor inconvenience, transforming their life significantly, or anything in between. I feel the weight of that responsibility that we all share in this place. Politics is about community. This is what brings us all here. But what community brings me here? Mr Speaker, my story, my family story, is typical of many in our community. Immigrant grandparents who worked hard and made Australia home. Like so many born and raised Aussies, I stand on the shoulders of the sacrifice of my grandparents and parents. Be it Dusan Djordjevic, anglicised to George Dusan, who fled Serbia at 16 during World War II to fight in the resistance in Italy, or Klari Veen of Slovakia, who served as a translator in London for the Allies during World War II. Sadly, my grandparents have all passed. I have no doubt that my mother's father would have been tickled pink to be here today. Unknown to me during my childhood, George was a staunch Liberal, having experienced the tyranny of fascism and communism. That said, I think I may have been ripped off in the early 90s when George paid 1 cent per pine cone that we grandkids collected from his and Grandma's backyard in St Ives. Perhaps a pine cone collectors union might have helped us generate better wages.
Probably not.
Pine cone politics aside, my mum and dad, Guy and Alex, worked hard to give me and my 5 siblings a good life. No doubt there would have been tough times, especially when Dad started his own business. But growing up, I could see I had a good life, thanks to the sacrifices of my grandparents and parents. Mum and Dad led by example, showing us it was our responsibility to give back. Never was this more clear than when I was a teenager and we welcomed a refugee family into our home, with mum and dad supporting them through school and into employment for many years. Having grown up in a family dedicated to service, it may not be a surprise that I chose to practice family law, advocate for my local community on council, or volunteer as a firefighter with the Davidson RFS. My time in the RFS has left an indelible impact upon my commitment to public service. It solidified my deep respect for frontline emergency service workers. One chapter of my journey to this place started in the 2019-20 Black Summer fires. Walls of flame swept through the south coast of our state. Home after home burned to the ground. The imperfect combination of drought, roaring winds, soaring temperatures, and underprepared bushland left those most at risk destitute and broken. For thousands of volunteer firefighters like myself, this meant scores of deployments to the south coast. With the Davidson RFS, we barrelled from suburb to suburb through the city of Shoalhaven and Eurobodalla for weeks, doing our best to save homes and businesses from ruin. We saved some, but we lost many more. Every single loss hurt. No number of saves could take away that pain. Over this time, the men and women of all emergency services were pushed to the limit, mentally and physically, each day ending with utter exhaustion. Although those times involved great loss, sweat, blood, and tears, from the shadows, ashes, and ruins, the generosity and hope of the human spirit shone a slither of brightness, piercing the darkness of those difficult times. On one occasion, we were deployed to fire in Sunset Strip, Manana, a cliffside street. A sudden and strong change in wind caught residents off guard, with fire spotting up the cliffside, threatening homes and lives. As the cliffside home at number 15 set alight, one of our crew charged to the side of the house, hose in hand, followed closely by a fellow crew member. A sudden shift in wind saw smoke and fire change direction, overwhelming him. Not provided with any adequate mask whatsoever, he collapsed into the thick, black smoke, the most toxic of smokes. Barely visible and with no certainty of the danger, firefighter Jeff sprinted straight for firefighter Dave, dragged him out of danger and administered first aid. Dave was okay. We saved number 15 and the risk it posed to the street. Jeff and Dave are heroes. This is but one of the many stories of courage from that difficult time, a story that might never have been told. I'm proud to be able to share it today to make sure it is enshrined on the public record here in the oldest parliament in Australia. And I'm proud to have fellow firefighter Jeff Bolton here today. Jeff, would you stand? Thank you, Jeff. Why would anyone voluntarily subject themselves to such danger? I can only speak to my own experience of these courageous men and women. Over a decade in the Rural Fire Service, I've witnessed a mishmash group united by shared values. They have a compassion for people, they love their community, and they want to see it left safer and better than how they found it. The deeds and words of these volunteers, if ever they were known, will often be lost to history or otherwise quickly forgotten. But their impact carries far greater significance to the lives of the individuals they helped. Those most in need, made to feel safe, cared for, and that they mattered. I pay tribute to all volunteer firefighters and emergency service volunteers for their commitment to these values. In so many ways, what drives these volunteers are the very things that drive us. The shared values of compassion and community. Mr Speaker, I stand here today as the Liberal member for Pittwater. I endeavour to live the values at the core of the Liberal Party because of my firm belief that Liberal principles properly adopted will see our society at its best. Maximising the freedom of the individual consistent with the freedoms of others, and minimising government to allow individuals to flourish will see a society with every person at their best, forming a collective stronger than the sum of its parts. That collective is Australia. But to be a good member in this place is not just about what you believe, but how you behave. The basis of social cohesion is the tenet that we do unto others as we would have them do unto us. This is an obligation on each individual, not something that can or should be deferred to the state. We cannot outsource our fundamental obligations of charity or service over self to government. Rather, I believe every individual has an obligation to do what they can. For us in this place, that responsibility is all the greater. In these times, where everyone is a de facto news outlet, it is increasingly important to focus on how we apply compassion in our society and in politics. For too long, public discourse has been infected by ideological absolutes. You're entirely right or entirely wrong. You're wholly virtuous or utterly evil. Many adopt a cynical worldview that pits people against one another, entrenching differences and avoiding common ground at all costs. Of course, there will be times where those differences are irreconcilable. However, where those differences are explored with compassion, we will achieve greater harmony. We need a more compassionate polity, a dialogue seeking to unite, not divide. The term cancel culture is an intellectually underwhelming phrase, but the notion that we should silence or denigrate others who espouse different views from us lacks compassion. Parties to any matter of public interest should approach issues openly. That is not to say we should abandon convictions or stand for nothing, but as Atticus Finch would say, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Having done so, you still may not agree with the other's view, but you've taken the important step of seeking to understand. Of course, there are times when people are clumsy and lazy in expressing their views. Compassion allows room for those people to put things right rather than to pillory. Other times, there are individuals who are insincere in their contributions, determined to be offensive or hateful. Compassion allows us to see those individuals and their contributions for who and what they are. When approaching issues of public discourse, I adopt the view of Bertrand Russell, who summed up the Liberal outlook as lying not in what opinions are held, but in how they are held. Instead of being held dogmatically, they are held tentatively, and with a consciousness that new evidence may at any moment lead to their abandonment. Mr Speaker, I'm a classical Liberal. I believe we are well served by the traditions which have seen New South Wales and Australia become the best places to live. These should not be abandoned lightly, but in the face of new evidence, I believe they can be transformed. Notwithstanding, conversation regarding policy or traditions need to be done better. Individuals should be free to speak their mind with sincerity so that all viewpoints may be given a fair and proper hearing. Politics must be done differently. Mr Speaker, I entered this place following 12 incredible years of infrastructure investment and delivery from a Liberal Nationals government who transformed this state. They fundamentally changed the way New South Wales looks and moves around, whether it be new and upgraded hospitals, schools and ambulance stations, major transport infrastructure like the Sydney Metro or regional road projects like the Pacific Highway upgrade. The former New South Wales government proved that delivering projects propels our state forward. Infrastructure is more than just bricks and mortar. It is about the jobs it creates, the people it trains, the industries it supports, and the opportunities it brings, and the quality of life it improves. Infrastructure is our legacy. The projects delivered over the last decade and those underway today will be enjoyed by generations to come. I will fight to ensure infrastructure remains a top priority for New South Wales. Not just because it is vitally important for our economy, but because of what it means for our communities. This means funding and completing the broader Sydney Metro network, fully completing Western Harbour Tunnel, Warringah Freeway upgrade and Beaches Link, and preparing our state for infrastructure we will need for the future of automated vehicles. The Pittwater community faces significant infrastructure challenges. We need to finish widening Monavale Road. We need to upgrade Narrabeen North and Narrabeen Sports. And we need to undertake flood mitigation works on the Wakehurst Parkway. We need to stop inappropriate development, and we need to upgrade Newport and North Narrabeen surf clubs. Mr Speaker, it is an unparalleled privilege to serve Pittwater as their parliamentary representative, one of only 8 to do so since 1950. I have heard every member in this place pay tribute to their community as the greatest, the most beautiful, or the most unique. It would be with great trepidation that some of my first words in this place would be to label those members as liars. So I won't. Let these words about Pittwater speak for themselves. From the most populous island in New South Wales, Scotland Island, and our unique offshore community, to the heritage of Barrenjoey Headland and the sheer wonder of its outlook, from the hidden gem of the Palm Beach Bible Garden to the 12 surf lifesaving clubs with their thousands of volunteers, from our golden beaches to West Head to Narrabeen Lagoon. Pittwater is Sydney's playground. Its beauty is almost mythical, so much so that one of our country's most successful TV exports is filmed locally at Palm Beach, or Summer Bay as many know it. Representing an area as beautiful as Pittwater, I'm especially conscious of the responsibility to preserve the natural beauty of our state. As a member in this place, I will advocate that we act quicker to protect and enhance our environment locally and across New South Wales. It is too precious to lose. I pay tribute to my recent predecessors and good friends, some of whom are here. Jim Longley served 10 years, 7 in government, a decent ratio. John Brogden served 9 years, all in opposition, an unfortunate ratio, but he would have made a fine Premier. And of course, Rob Stokes who actually gave his own inaugural speech to this place on this exact date 16 years ago. Pittwater owes Rob a great debt. His service was dignified, respectful, humble, and characterised by the utmost integrity. Thank you, Rob. And lastly, I pay tribute to Alex McTaggart. Alex is a man of firsts. He served as the first independent, and hopefully the last, to be elected as a member for Pittwater. He was also generous enough to endorse my candidacy at the recent election, and I'm reliably informed by scholars with many leather-bound books that never, in all eternity, has a former member elected as an independent endorsed a major party candidate. Alex, thank you. A notable mention, Mr Speaker, I seek an extension of time.
Rory, I feel like we're getting along fine here. Just please proceed. Just don't overdo it. I feel like you're amongst friends.
A notable mention. I thank the Honourable Barry Unsworth, at 89 years young, our oldest living Premier and a resident of Pittwater. Barry remains involved in every local Labor campaign. When the recent campaign turned nasty against me from some, I could always count on Barry and the local Labor volunteers to be kind and unyielding in their demands for politics in our area to be fought fairly and honestly. Barry and I may not be from the same side, and although he definitely didn't vote for me, because he told me quite proudly as he walked out of pre-poll, he only voted once, so that was okay. He is a decent and honourable man. He represents the very best of the Labor tradition. Barry, thank you. Mr Speaker, colleagues, friends, I will always remember that I have been elected by the people of Pittwater. The Pittwater community inspires me. It motivates me. It's a community worth fighting for. About 18 months ago, I met a wonderful woman in Avril McLean. In 2016, her only son Adam was killed in a car crash. And I cannot imagine the pain that Avril feels over this tragedy. In honour of Adam, Council installed a memorial table overlooking Mona Vale Beach. Naturally, Avril regularly seeks solace there. Another memorial table is also there, a bench for 18-year-old Stuart Kelly, who died nearby. Stuart's mother does not live locally, so Avril promised that she would take care of the bench, laying flowers there for anniversaries. Council, in all its wisdom, installed garbage bins which obscured the view of the water from Stuart's bench and impaired the view from Adam's table. For obvious reasons, this was distressing. At first, Avril's concerns were quickly lost in council bureaucracy, but very quickly, after Avril and I were put in touch, we had the bins moved. This was a little thing to most people, but it meant a lot to a very special person. Every day in our communities, we have the honour and privilege of standing up for special people like Avril. Avril is a nurse who works hard on the front line. Her only drawback is she is a citizen of New Zealand. and not Australia, and hopefully we can turn her in time. Earlier this year, Avril said to a friend of mine, "I hope Rory does not forget about people like me if he gets elected." I want Avril to know that I won't ever forget about people like her. I will always stand up for the vulnerable, the downtrodden and the abandoned in our community. I'm elected to advocate for every person, and that's exactly what I intend to do. I'm proud to have Avril here today. Avril, could you please stand? You're an inspiration to so many. Mr. Speaker, I stand here in awe before you in this place, bounded by hundreds of years of Westminster tradition. To my parents, Guy and Alex, and to my grandparents, all of whom have shaped me, I thank you. To my siblings, Chris, Lucinda, Dom, my twin Mel, or woo mate as she's come to self-style, and Cam, thank you for enduring me over the years. To the next generation, my nieces Olive and Eden, and nephew Beau, I promise the decisions I make in this place will always have your future at heart. To my many friends and extended family, your support is invaluable. To the Liberal Party members of Pittwater and across the party who showed unshakable faith in me under challenging circumstances, I am forever grateful. To Christina, Natasha Torero, Alex Dorr, Sarah Halnan, Albert, Stu Cameron, Sandra Chimino, Phil Richardson, Wendy Starkey and John Farrow, Susie Bauer, Jenny Zeng, and too many more to name, I owe you more than you will ever know. Finally, I would like to thank the people of Pittwater for placing their trust in me. This is the honour of my life, and I will work every day to vindicate your decision. Mr. Speaker, this speech is but a marker in time. It sets standards I will not always meet, but I will always endeavour to act with compassion and put my community first. I will make sure those I serve feel listened to and know that they always had someone in their corner. Above all, when my days here are done, it is my hope and fervent prayer that I might be farewelled with the creed, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Thank you.